Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on the link to this one. So we are back. We haven't been here in a while. For those of you guys that are new to this channel, there are kind of two parts to this channel. There's the highlight portion, and then there is the recap portion. This is the part where I like talk and narrate things to you. And there's been a lot of highlights lately because obviously the Red Sox are in spring training, but I haven't been talking a lot. And if some of you guys that have been with the channel longer are wondering why, it's because I'm working on this massive Roman Anthony project and it's taking me longer than I want it to, but it is turning out super well, and I'm going to give you guys a sneak preview at the end of this video, so please stick around to that. It's really cool. I'm going to try to give you like a 3 or 4 minute preview, and I think you're really going to like it. But in this video specifically, we are talking Red Sox spring training because there's a lot going on. I mean, it's the first week of spring training, and there are some really solid player performances, and I think that there's a lot of optimism that should be going on right now heading into the season. So if you guys are interested in that, let's stick around because I think it's time to find out just how well the Sox are doing. So we're starting off right now with just the spring training statistics for our batters right now. And if you look at the top, I'm just sorting by at-bats right now because obviously we've only played about 7 games. There's not a whole lot of sample size to go off of. So the players that have actually participated in significant action so far, we have a lot of regular guys, and then we have a lot of prospects on top of that. You see somebody like Marcelo Meyer, Trevor Story. It's great to see these gotten 14 at-bats. David Hamilton. Trace Thompson's an interesting one we'll talk about. And Cedar Rafaela, and just kind of goes down the line. But there are some standout performances already this spring. And if you are like me, which I think a lot of you guys might be as you're big Sox fans, I think that we are most interested here in seeing how the new players are doing and how our prospects are kind of doing. Because while our established guys, it's good to get them in and just jump right into it, they're kind of established, right? We kind of know what we're going to kind of get from them. But the guys coming back from injury, the new guys to the team, the prospects, that's the interesting stuff. And fortunately, we have a lot of good news to report on all of those fronts kind of across the board. So we're just going to kind of go from the top to the bottom here for a little bit. Mikey Romero, he's got 1,000 batting average leading the team. He's got 1 at bat. So good for him. Good job, Mikey. But not a whole lot to go off of him right now. Trace Thompson is leading the team right now with 2 home runs. He is kind of going to be battling for one of those backup positions. I don't really think he's going to be impacting the major leagues too early in the season, as we have a lot of prospects, that are ready to go potentially behind him. But he is also on this team, and he's doing pretty well to start off. And then Alex Bregman. Now, this is what we want to see right here. Alex Bregman leading the team with 6 RBI. If we just go straight to Bregman's statistics here, we'll pull him up. He is 5 for 10 with a home run and 6 RBI, 500 batting average, and a 1362 OPS. If this isn't what we wanted out of Alex Bregman to start off, I don't know. I don't know what it is, right? Alex Bregman is just performing very well. Every single at-bat that he has taken has been a very professional at-bat in the sense of he's ready to go. Like, he's handling the strike zone, he's handling his at-bats really well. And even on some of, he struck out 3 times, I don't even care. He's just doing really, really well to start off. He's pulled a couple of foul balls that could have been home runs. It just across the board, I think everything that you would want to see from an Alex Bregman to start off, you're seeing it. And today, for example, he went into an away game, and traditionally speaking, starters in a major league lineup, they don't go to away games during spring training too often, but he advocated for it because he wanted to spend time with Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, and Roman Anthony. He wanted to spend time with those guys to be able to develop them, work with them, talk to them, get to know them. He advocated for that himself. So for those of you guys that weren't on the Alex Bregman bandwagon, I think you should be hopping on because, for example, for me, I was unsure about him signing prior to him signing, but I was never doubting the guy that we potentially could get. I was just concerned about him being blocked, or blocking Christian Campbell, or blocking some of these minor league players that are ready to come up. And instead, we're getting a guy in Alex Bregman who he's on a shorter term deal. He's going to perform for us because we're not paying him into his late 30s. That was the biggest concern that I had. And so realistically, Alex Bregman doing everything we could ask him to do. He's performing really well, and you love to see it. That's what you want. Obviously, right behind him, 5 RBIs. We're still sorting by RBIs right now. Marcelo Meyer. He has a home run, 5 RBIs, 357 batting average, and 1152 OPS. Walked a couple times, struck out a couple times. He's looked really impressive so far. I mean, if you guys saw this triple, I'll try to put it up on the screen right now. They didn't have the national feed for it, but he hit this ball 104 miles per hour off the bat, absolutely smoked it to the opposite field, and that is the type of stuff that we want to see from Marcelo Meyer. This is the type of guy that's going to be an everyday shortstop, potentially hitting between 20 to 25 home runs a year and playing pretty solid defense. I mean, this is what we want. This is what we're expecting to see. And if he can do this type of thing right here at Fenway Park, you're gonna be thrilled about it for years. Cedar Rafaela, right off the bat, he is has a home run already hit, the first home run of spring, I believe, and he's got a couple hits to start off, 5 for 13, 385 batting average, and 1159 OPS. He's got 2 walks. And I know we saw this last spring, and that was the biggest concern heading into last season in 2024 was him not walking enough. Guess what? He didn't walk very much in the regular season either, but he still put up a really solid 2024 rookie campaign. So, it's early. His at bats look really solid. Hopefully, he can carry that into the season because even if he can increase his walk rate and just give you like, I don't know, a slightly below league average walk rate, the guy's going to be like an all star just with his defense, especially if he's playing every single day. Um, just to be able to get on base, at like a 320 clip. That's really all we need from him because the guy potentially could bat like 270, 280 or higher, and he might hit you 20 plus home runs. And so I'm really encouraged what I'm seeing from Cedar Rafaela so far, but the caveat is obviously we saw some of this last spring from him as well. Roman Anthony. Now, this is the man of the hour. As I was alluding to earlier, I'm making this massive everything you need to know about Roman Anthony video right now. And I've been working on this for over a month. If you guys haven't seen one, I made one on Yostinson Garcia. I'll try to like clip that right now in case you guys want to watch it. But it's going to be the same type of video format in a sense, but it's going to be a little bit different and much more comprehensive. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But Roman Anthony has looked every bit of why he's the number one prospect in baseball right now. He has 4 walks, a 500 on base percentage. He's got 4 hits. This double that he hit was absolutely smoked. He hit that 104 miles an hour, just like Marcelo Meyer did with his triple up here. And I mean, he's just looking like the guy that you want on your opening day roster. Now, I don't think he's going to be on the opening day roster. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think there's room for him. But if he were to be there, I mean, I think he's going to be money right away. I'm not saying that he's going to go out and be an all star this year, but he's the type of guy that could be a perennial MVP type candidate at his peak. Hopefully, he reaches that. I know that's a big stretch to say for a guy that's never even had an at bat in the big leagues. But this is the type of guy that we could be getting from him. It's really exciting to see that he's performing well early on. Trace Thompson, we talked about him a little bit before. He's looked really good. His home runs have been very solid, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to be a guy that we're going to see very often. Let's scroll through some of these other guys. Masataka Yoshida, he got his first plate appearance the other day, and he on the first pitch that he saw, he hit a 2 RBI double down the line with the bases loaded. Masataka Yoshida is a professional hitter, guys. I mean, he's just going to do what you need him to do, and he's kind of the forgotten guy on this team because he keeps getting brought to be traded over and over and over again. And he's not going anywhere right now. And I think he's going to be a hidden asset to this team people don't talk about enough. He is one of the better hitters on this team. And you'd love to see it. I mean, Masa's done nothing but what you ask from him when he's been healthy. And he had a lot of shoulder issues this last year. I mean, he had shoulder surgery in the offseason. But if Masa went out and had like a 290 season where he hit 15 to 20 home runs over a full year, would anybody really be that surprised? I don't think I would be. I think he could be our number 5 or 6 hitter potentially. And when you're talking about a guy that's not even being mentioned heading into this season of all this excitement, he could be one of those guys that you just look at the end of the year and you're like, wow, Masa really performed. And maybe at that point they trade him. Maybe he just stays with the team throughout his contract. I don't know. Trevor Story is another guy that I will hype up every single year imaginable because Trevor Story, guys, I mean, he is just so determined to do well. And I'm not saying that he's going to go out and be peak Trevor Story again, but I keep saying if he has a full healthy year, he's going 2020, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. And I don't really think there's that much of a question in it. Obviously, he can still hit the ball very well. He's gone 6 for 14 to start off this year. But it's really his defense is obviously that is the most important part for this team because Trevor Story is, still potentially an elite defender. I'm willing to wager that at minimum he's going to be a very above average defender at shortstop. And when you have Trevor Story at shortstop, and Alex Bregman at second base, that duo is going to do very well. We don't know where Rafael Devers is going to be, if he's going to be at DH or third base or split the year potentially, but I'd be willing to bet at least for most of this year that Trevor Story and Alex Bregman are going to be your duo up the middle. And then we have guys like David Hamilton, who's doing okay to start off the year. He's got a couple stolen bases already. Connor Wong, in his first at bat, he hit a home run as well. So Connor Wong's looking pretty okay. He has apparently been working on his defense all off season. as his defense is actually very bad. And so when you look at Connor Wong's need for improvement, if he can improve on that defensive side while still maintaining what he was able to do offensively this last year, you're looking at a really solid average to potentially above average catcher at the major league level. And then like Jarren Duran, I mean, of course, Jarren Duran here, he's 4 for 12 already. He's got a stolen base. He's looking really solid as well. And so just across the board though here, guys, basically anybody you could want to do well is doing very well. Some of the notable exceptions that I would say that maybe are something that you can kind of look into at this point are Christian Campbell being 0 for 11. He actually just got his first hit today. I don't know, those stats haven't updated, but he was 0 for 11 with 8 strikeouts and wasn't particularly looking great. I know he's somebody that was looking at maybe winning the opening day job at second base. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point. I mean, this is a small sample size, but I would say that he hasn't looked very ready for major league pitching, or maybe he's just over hyper fixating on this batting. And if that's the case, then, you know, potentially he could come up early in the year. He's still obviously an excellent prospect, but he just seems like he's pressing right now. Vaughn Grissom also is another one of those guys that, you know, didn't start off super great. He's just 1 for 10. But I mean, Vaughn Grissom's going to be in the mix. I think he's probably going to start the year at AAA, but I mean, he could make the opening day roster as well. And he's going to be one of the first guys that gets called back up if there is an injury, or I mean, he sneaks on as like the last guy on the major league roster to start off the season. But at least in terms of the guys that are going to be on the roster this year, overall very solid. Rob Refsner's got a couple hits and 8 at bats. He's going to give you some professional at bats always. And the notable guy that's missing right now is Rafael Devers. He hasn't taken an at bat yet, but all signs indicate that he's potentially going to be ready for opening day, or probably going to be ready for opening day. So I wouldn't read into any concern about Rafael Devers starting late. He's just taking a little extra time to build back up before seeing actual at bats. Now let's go over to the pitching side, because this is more interesting in my opinion, because we've got some huge names here that I really want to talk about. The first one here is going to be Garrett Crochet, and Garrett Crochet has 3.2 innings pitched, given up 4 hits, 4 walks, but he has 7 strikeouts. This is an 18.9% strikeout rate, or 18.9 Ks per 9. That's crazy. Obviously, very small sample size, and he's still given up a lot of like base runners, but at the same time, he's worked around them, and that's what spring training is for. And so I kind of look at this and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's given up 8 base runners, but if he's working on his mechanics right now, this is the first time he's kind of seeing professional hitting. Like, that is not that bad in my opinion. It's the strikeouts that I'm looking at where it's like, okay, if he needs to get an out, he's getting that out, you know? He is getting the guys that he needs to get to make sure that he's going to be successful during the season. So I love to see what I'm seeing from Garrett Crochet right now. This guy's going to be a stud for us this year. I think he's going to have a sub-3 ERA. Sub-3 ERA. That's my prediction for the year. I don't think that's even that hot of a take. I think a lot of people would predict that, but that's my prediction for Garrett Crochet this year. He's going to have a sub-3 ERA with the Red Sox. Tanner Houck looked okay. I mean, he's given up a couple runs so far. Didn't have a strikeout, but I mean, if you watch like his performance, it was fine. He's had a couple here. He had the one appearance out there. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but I'm not worried about him. But the other big one that I really wanted to get into was Walker Buehler's appearance, and that just happened. But he has one game, his first start that he just had, went 2 innings and had 4 strikeouts. And if you guys watch this, I posted a highlight reel of every pitch that he has or threw in that game. I mean, he looked every bit the dominant pitcher that he can be heading into the regular season. And if we're getting a Walker Buehler that's, you know, anything close to what he did in 2021, this team is going to be super dangerous. I mean, if you have Walker Buehler and then you have Garrett Crochet and then you have Tanner Houck at the top of your rotation, I mean, those are all 3 above average starters that you're gonna win a lot of ball games with that, just by those 3 alone. And then the depth behind it is pretty crazy. I mean, we're talking about really solid pitchers like Brian Bayo and Cutter Crawford, and then Lucas Giolito's coming back, and then another guy that I really wanted to jump into, and that is Richard Fitts. Now, Richard Fitts, he's looked very good. I mean, he has gone 4 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts. But if you look at the performance that he's done so far, you actually watch the tape, the guy's throwing like 99 miles an hour, and then he has like a wipeout slider behind it. I mean, it's just not a profile you see very often from a starting pitcher, somebody that can throw that hard and then still get people out with an off-speed pitch. And so he's kind of developing very fast in my eyes. And I know he performed well at the end of last year, But if you actually watch those starts, he wasn't striking out a lot of guys, wasn't getting a lot of swing and misses, was producing a lot of soft contact, but just really wasn't looking like that guy that was going to take the next step. But he is this year. And so Richard Fitts, I mean, if he can throw 97 to 99 miles per hour on a four seam, have some secondary pitches that can get people out, I mean, he's going to be, at least an average starter in the big leagues, some guy that's going to give you like a sub 4 ERA potentially. And when you look at who we traded for Richard Fitts, I mean, we got Greg Weissart back, we got Richard Fitts back, and we send Alex Verdugo to the Yankees. So this seems like a win-win-win across the board for the Red Sox. We didn't have to deal with Verdugo last year, and we got back 2 quality pitchers. I mean, people had some issues with Weissart last year, but honestly, when you look at him as like a middle reliever, if he's your 5, 6, 7 guy out of the bullpen, Greg Weissart's very, very respectable to do that role. And he's probably going to be up and down this year, but he's looked really solid to start off the year. 3 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts. And if we're talking relievers, look no further than Luis Guerrero as to who you want as somebody in the back end of your rotation, or back into your bullpen. I mean, Luis Guerrero, 3 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. And if you're watching Luis Guerrero pitch, he looks like he's a closer. Like, he looks like a guy that's going to be a future closer. And that is just amazing to see, especially when we have a bullpen with guys like, Liam Hendricks already. And we have the Aroldis Chapmans of the world. And we've got pitchers that are going to be able to perform out of the back end of the bullpen. We've got Justin Slayton, and we have Garrett Whitlock coming back. I mean, this could give you potentially 4, 5, 6 guys out of the bullpen where it's like anytime somebody comes out of the bullpen, you're not feeling like the game's over. We don't have any like Tyler Andersons coming out of the bullpen, or, Corey Kluber starting an opening day. Like, this pitching rotation, this pitching top to bottom is just very deadly. And I think the only one that's really a concern at this point is Justin Wilson. And, he signed a major league contract, but don't look at him as a guy that's going to be on the roster like all year. If he doesn't perform early on, they will designate him for assignment and they will pull somebody else up. Like, we are not going to waste our time with the Justin Wilsons of the world just because we signed a major league contract with him earlier in the offseason. Like, if he's not going to perform, he will not be on this roster. So don't freak out about Justin Wilson making opening day just because he has a major league contract compared to some of these other guys that have options that maybe deserve it a little bit more over him. Because we still have like Josh Winkowski that we didn't talk about. We have Cooper Criswell, who honestly, like, he was very, very respectable for us in a relief role, and he did all right as a starter. I don't really want him as a starter. He doesn't throw fast enough, but I look at him as somebody who potentially could give you some quality innings later down the road. And then even guys like Isaiah Campbell, like, we re-signed him to a minor league contract. He's not on the 40-man roster right now, and he got completely shelled last year. So I think maybe some of you guys are looking at, like, why are you even mentioning his name? But his stuff is really good, and I think he was just caught up in the misfortune of last season, really is what it was. But, I mean, Zach Kelly, Greg Weissart, Michael Fulmer is another interesting name. I mean, there's a lot of guys here that are going to be able to perform and do well for the Red Sox this next year. And there are still a bunch of other prospects that I haven't even mentioned on this, like Hunter Dobbins, and we have, like, Shane Drohan, potentially. I mean, Brennan Bernardino. I mean, just across the board. Sean Newcomb's in the system. Do you guys even know that? I kind of forgot about that, honestly, until I'm reading his name right here, even though I've seen him pitch already. But, like, this pitching is going to be incredible for the team, and you guys all should be very excited about it. I'm super excited for it. The pedigree alone of some of these guys that are coming out of the bullpen, combined with the depth of talent that is coming up through our prospect rankings, is just a very exciting combination that I have not seen with the Red Sox roster in a very long time. So if you guys are looking for an overall ranking of this, I would say spring training is like a B+ right now. I mean, you're getting a lot of what you want out of this team. And as we go into the regular season, as we get through spring training, I'm going to do some season predictions. And so you guys will be able to see some of that videos. And if you guys want to leave some comments in the comment section below as to what you might want to see in the future, that'd be great. But anyway, that's the total video for today, which means that you guys are due a sneak peek of the Roman Anthony video that I've been working on. So here it is. I hope you guys enjoy.
I'm here with the player of the game with an astonishing game. 4 for 4. Let's hear it. How are you feeling the ball today?
Feeling locked in. Been feeling locked in all season. Just trying to help my teammates, pass it on, get a great team win.
4 for 4, 2 home runs, 2 singles, and he had a big hit, bases loaded, 2 outs. Have a night, Roman Anthony.
This is the number one prospect in all of Major League Baseball right now, Roman Anthony, and not even 3 years ago, he was a high school senior playing for the Stoneman Douglas Eagles in Parkland, Florida, and the clip you just watched is of him having maybe the best day of his career. Anthony went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, 6 RBI, scored 3 runs, and did all of this in just 4 offensive innings of baseball after the Eagles would run rule Westminster Christian 12-0 in 5 innings. A career day for almost anyone, but just not Roman Anthony. See, it would only take 3 weeks for him to have another eerily similar game, going 3 for 4 this time with a double, 2 more home runs, and 7 RBI in again just 4 offensive innings of baseball for the Eagles, as they would rout West Boca Raton 15-0 by the 5th. 2 games after that, another 2 for 3 game with a home run for Anthony. The very next game, 2 for 3 with, again, you guessed it, a home run for Anthony. So let me pose this question: can any day really be a career-defining performance for somebody who has the ability to top it anytime they take the field? And when you finish your senior year as well as Roman Anthony did, that's precisely what happened over and over again. That final year in the 2021-22 season playing for the Eagles, Anthony would bat .520 with a .589 on-base percentage, a .980 slugging percentage, good for a .1569 OPS, with 10 home runs and 25 extra base hits in just 32 games, being named the 2022 Florida State Player of the Year and leading Stoneman Douglas to their second consecutive Florida High School 7A state championship. But this is only the beginning of our story that would lead Roman Anthony to becoming maybe the best prospect in the history of the Red Sox franchise.
The Red Sox have a long and storied history of outstanding players to come up through their minor league system. From former MVPs in Mookie Betts, Dustin Pedroia, and Mo Vaughn, to regular All-Stars in Nomar Garciaparra, Xander Bogaerts, and Rafael Devers.
While all of them would make their marks in the major leagues, not one of these players would ever be listed as the number 1 overall prospect, and only Xander Bogaerts would crack the top 5, peaking at number 2 on MLB Pipeline's 2014 rankings. In fact, the Red Sox have only had one prospect in their team's history ever reach the number 1 ranking on MLB Pipeline, and that was Andrew Benintendi in the 2017 edition. And even if you include Baseball America's rankings, that only adds one more player in Daisuke Matsuzaka on their 2007 edition. Both Benintendi and Matsuzaka represent a cautionary tale when projecting young prospects and international signees, as while both developed into established major league caliber players, neither consistently reached the lofty expectations placed upon them of being bestowed the number 1 prospect in the sport. Roki Sasaki recently supplanted Roman Anthony on MLB Pipeline's number 1 spot after signing with the Dodgers, and many expect him to follow in the success of fellow countryman Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but the same was said for Matsuzaka nearly 18 years ago. Modern analytics have advanced these projections significantly since that time, but as always, no one can ever be sure, but it is getting closer. Since 2018, every number 1 overall prospect on MLB Pipeline has made a considerable impact at the major league level. In fact, in between 2018 and 2023, of the 15 players who have been ranked inside the top 3 on MLB Pipeline, you could argue that nearly 3/4 of them have met or exceeded the weight of the massive expectations that come with those rankings. Among the 11 players in that category, 5 of them won Rookie of the Year, 9 of them have won a Silver Slugger Award, and every single one of them have made at least one All-Star game. So what is it that makes Roman Anthony so special to be in this elite group of prospects, and how likely is it that he could be the next great Red Sox star? Well guys, I've been working really hard on that. There is a lot more coming when it comes to that video. I think it's like up to almost 20 minutes at this point, and so I don't know exactly when it's going to be done. I'm just going to say soon. It will definitely be before opening day, but if you guys like that, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, do all the stuff down below. It really does support me and the channel. And if you guys didn't really care for this type of content, well, I do post a lot of highlight videos on this channel, so there is something else for you to hopefully be interested in. But thank you again for sticking it out to the end of this video. I definitely do appreciate it, and as always, I will see you next time. Bye.